This is In the Name of Football.
Oh, preview show, Coronation Weekend. Are you really bothered, Ash?
I couldn't give a flying fuck.
Okay, well, that's lovely. Anyway, we are here for football chat. We're not here for that sort of garbage, are we?
Not at all.
What we've got coming on this week's episode, sort of thing, is we're going to be having a look at some. Well, we're going to look at Manchester United. We're going to look at Arsenal. We're going to look at the Man City game as well, and Liverpool, and we're just going to look at everything, really, aren't we? But in general, that top four
Standard,
is
the usual.
Yeah, the usual guff, as we like to say. Do you want to give it a look, see if we're all good for the old echo, etc.? I think we should.
Yeah, we know what you're like with that echo.
Yeah, it should be all right because we should have the. It should all be going fine, just how we want it to be now. But yeah, so like I say, we will be looking at the Manchester United result from the Brighton game, and also we'll be looking forward to the Manchester United game versus West Ham. Obviously, City beat. Who did they beat midweek? Ash, West Ham, 3-0 comfortably. So we'll be looking at that as well. Sounds all right to me.
Yeah, we're all good. We're all good. Yeah. I was just making sure we waited until you could hear myself as well, because on that last one we did. It was just my echo, wasn't it? So.
Yeah, it was your echo, yeah. But hopefully we should be all right. So anyway, right. Let's get into it then. So shall we start? Let's start with the Man City game. Obviously, Man City at home today against Leeds. The first ever time outside of COVID restrictions that a Premier League game will be broadcast at 3 p.m. on a Saturday due to the coronation, which just seems convenient that they can move it when they wish.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting. I didn't really know anything about that.
Yeah,
what's
someone
that
said.
all about?
Yeah, someone said it in the someone said it in our group chat, the Man United group chat. I mean, the other day, like, oh, the game's at 3 o'clock on Saturday. I'm like, no, it can't happen because it's like the blackout. But yeah, Sky Sports have got on at 3 o'clock, so it doesn't clash with the coronation. Interesting that they can move things when they want to, hey?
Well, obviously, that's always the way.
Yeah, well, they did for COVID, which does surprise me why they never took the 3 p.m. blanket out, which I wouldn't actually want the 3 p.m. blanket to be gone, actually. I think it's quite good. It's quite a good tradition in the UK that we can't watch games at 3 o'clock, I think, personally. But anyway.
You just get a stream up if you want anyway. It's not hard to find, is it?
Brilliant. Right, okay, anyway, if you are new around here, you can follow us ITNNOF podcast just down the bottom here on your right hand side as you look. Follow us on there. We have got the podcast out on Mondays.
Said usually. That wrong, I think.
Did I? ITNOFP podcast on Twitter and Facebook, and this channel. Just subscribe. But yeah, we release the podcast on a Monday, and sometimes during the week, depending on football fixtures, what's going on in the world of football. It's a bit of freedom, really, but we do like to have an episode out on a Monday for you, where we just generally review football, really. A lot of Man United and Arsenal chat, though, isn't there?
Obviously, every single episode is very United and Arsenal heavy, but what do you expect? We're they're the clubs that we support, so
yeah,
that's
of course.
What we're going to be talking about.
Yeah, of course. Obviously, a lot of the Man United chat will be covered. Anyway, right. So, Man City versus Leeds first. Then, obviously, Big Sam coming in for Leeds. What do we think about that one?
Well, I mean, surely it's going to be too difficult for Big Sam to come in and make an impact. I mean, straight away with only 4 games anyway. I know we were saying that perhaps he could have done, but such a short period of time, and then you're getting thrown in at the deep end. away to Manchester City. Like,
I know.
what are you supposed to do? What are you supposed to do?
It's a bit of a crazy one, isn't it? I mean, like, we had. I heard his interview the other day where he was saying, like, I'm better than Arteta and Pep Guardiola. I know it was a bit tongue in cheek when he said it. I was kind of like, he's got to be joking, right? And then he did actually confirm he was joking later on, and he's like, I kind of give you a headline there in his press conference, and people kind of ignored it. But yeah, I just thought it was quite funny from Big Sam. But on Sam Allardyce, I mean, we are going to be looking at the relegation battle in depth on Monday, I believe, where we're going to be looking at the remaining fixtures for the clubs down the bottom there because it's really tight. So can he get Leeds out of trouble? Can he do it?
Well, obviously he can. You know, it's not as if they've got to claw back any points as such, is it? They're still currently outside of it.
Yeah, yeah, but
but it's just
Leeds,
obviously the recent run of form and where they are as a club, isn't it? They're conceding so many goals. Like, the atmosphere is horrendous. Like, we sort of spoke about it on the last episode about how, like, Victor Orta is now obviously now left, and it's just a whole sort of calamity of errors. And in such a short period of time, that's going to be extremely hard to even try and do something. You know, like when you look when like Dyche sort of come in, that's skills give him ample time to sort of get the team organised again, start picking up a few points. But now it's just like,
well,
let's go.
You look at it though. I mean, they've got Man City today. Then they've got Newcastle at home, which I don't think. Do you think they're going to get anything out of that? And I know we're going to go through this in depth on the podcast on Monday, but Newcastle, I don't know. It's just like first,
You look at their fixtures, and it's just where they're going to get points.
we will
very,
look
very hard.
We'll look at the United game a little bit later in detail, but I think West Ham will be safe after the weekend. And then obviously Leeds are at home to Tottenham. That could be a bit of a saving grace for them where they might get three. I could only predict 3 points for Leeds towards the end of the season. Maybe 4 if they get a draw at West Ham, because West Ham will be on the beach. But that's the only way I can see them getting the points, like max for 3 or 4 points. But that might be enough to save them. But let's look at
and you always get these teams that will start pulling out points of like unexpectedly, because you know if Newcastle, for example, likely will they've essentially secured the top 4. You know you could see Leeds just getting a point there or something, as you then just said about West Ham, who probably may be safe as well. Could they then get a point there? And it's just those little things. And obviously, Man City are going to drop points today to allow Arsenal back in the title
race. You just won't give it a rest, will you? You won't. But let's look at the game. Obviously, Man City, I think West Ham were really good against Man City in the first half, the midweek. And obviously that man again, Haaland, getting a goal. They rested De Bruyne. City just 3-0, and it turned out easy for him. I mean, I saw a tweet during the week, and I think it was from a Liverpool game, and he was like, a message to Arsenal fans: don't look at Man City's lineup, don't look at their results, don't look at this, don't hope that they're going to do this, don't, because they won't. They're just going to win. It's pointless going on to their team and their lineups before the game and seeing that they're not playing this player, they're not playing that player, because you are going to lose. Do you know what I mean? They're still going to win. So yeah, it just made me laugh a little bit. And look,
Oh well, yeah. I mean, to be fair, I did do that at half time. It was half time, and I saw that it was 0-0, and I'm not gonna lie, I was getting a little bit excited. But
Jesus.
The second half, it's just there's only so long a team. Obviously, they held them, as you said, in the first half fairly well, but there's only so long they can do that, and then. I mean, the quality of Haaland and his finish was ridiculous. I mean, Phil Foden's goal as well. And, let's not forget, Foden's literally been out for weeks. And he's only really just coming back into it. And he's already, you look at sort of his goals and assists, still really impressive considering think about it. Has Foden even played that much? Like, do you know what I mean? Do you get that feeling as well, where you're like, I can't even remember him playing, but
I
all of a
sat
sudden he's somehow scored 10 goals in the Premier League.
I sat there the other day when he came on, and I was like, oh, I forgot about him. Literally, I was just
Yeah,
like, forgot he was even there. Do you know what I mean? Like, and he
he's
come on.
hardly played because he had that
He had
what was it?
he had an injury, didn't he, on his foot?
Appendicitis.
Oh, yeah, he
Appendicitis,
had
no.
appendicitis as well, didn't he, for England when he was
Yeah.
on England duty? But no, I feel like
Um,
you look at City again with Haaland, and I mean, you run out of superlatives for the guy, don't you? What's that now?
yeah.
35 league goals with 31 Premier League games appearances, and that is that is Football Manager stats. That's like
Yeah.
it is, isn't it? Um, it's just absolutely crazy that you see Haaland breaking these records, and it was like now like 35 goals in 31 games, and obviously he's broke Shearer and Cole's record, which was in a 42 game season. And you're like, how
Yeah.
on earth is that? How is that possible? But we've got a question. We've got a question from Harry Discombe. Hi guys, great to hear your beautiful voices on this Saturday morning. If you're not aware, Harry used to be a co-host of the show. Morning, Harry. Who's been your manager of the season? This could cause a bit of a debate.
Interesting.
um,
Manager of the season.
do you know what? As much as I've given the guy a bit of abuse on the podcast, I'd have to say Eddie Howe, because
Yeah.
the thing I just don't. The thing that goes against that is because I just don't like the way he kind of disregards the money they spent. Whereas realistically, he should come out and say, yeah, the money obviously has helped. But he obviously has got the best out of players like Joel Linton and Murphy. I can't remember his first name. Which one's there? It's Jacob, isn't it? But yeah, I still think he kind of overlooks his best players are the ones he's bought for like close to 250 million. Yourself?
Well, yeah. I mean, I think obviously Eddie Howe is definitely up there. I mean, you can't sort of deny how well he's done. As we've said before, it's very easy to you can buy these players and they're quality players as is. It's another thing actually getting a tune out of them.
Yeah.
But I think Roberto De Zerbi, obviously how well
Yeah.
he's done with Brighton, I don't think anyone really expected that. And then I don't think you can go against what Mikel Arteta's done either.
Knew it. Knew it was going to happen. Just couldn't resist, could
Well,
you?
no one was expecting us to be where we are. Like,
No, I know what you're saying. But great question. And
it's got to be up there. Unai Emery as well. Obviously, what he's done at Villa.
yeah,
Gary O'Neill at Bournemouth, considering where they were at one point,
yeah,
and how he's managed to turn that around. So I think they're the main sort of candidates.
yeah. No, 100%. And but if I was going to go with someone, I would go for Eddie Howe, despite the amount of grief I've given him. So yeah, good question, Harry. But we will actually. There is an interesting debate we actually raised, and it caused about an hour discussion off there, like between me and yourself. And we will be bringing up on the podcast who has actually had the more. If Arsenal don't manage to win the league and United end up how they have in the top four and win a trophy, who's had the most successful season? But we're not going to go into that now because that was a brilliant debate, and yeah, that was yeah.
Need to go a bit more in depth in that. Allocate some specific time for
Yeah, 100%, because we'll just get absolutely bombarded with that one today, and we just won't talk about the weekend. But yeah, good question. Cheers, Harry. So back to the game. Obviously, I can't see anything other than a Man City win here. Do you know what I mean? I really can't. I think I've gone 4-0, I want to say, in my predictions. What about yourself?
going for a Big Sam masterclass 1-1.
Well, actually, Leeds got a result there, didn't they? Yeah, Leeds got a result there a few years back in the first year in the Premier League. I think they beat them, but I don't want to get your hopes raised a little bit. And you never know, do you?
Yeah, I'm still clutching massively at straws, but what why not give up?
Yeah, I'm going 4-0. I'm going 4-0. I don't see anything other than Haaland smashing in more goals and gets that number 40 target total. I really don't.
It's the most logical, obviously.
Yeah. But it is, isn't it?
Yeah, obviously.
Yeah.
It would just follow every single trend that's happened with Manchester City this season. But
yeah,
Why not mix it up? Go for that Leeds point. Big Sam just coming in straight away and doing the unthinkable.
Right, let's go. Let's go with into the next game then. We'll look at the bit of the Man United Brighton game as well as going and previewing the West Ham game at the weekend. So obviously United losing. For those of you who don't know, I'm a United fan. So United lost during the week to Brighton 1-0. I don't think personally the penalty should have actually happened because I think that there was a foul. The foul which led to the corner was no way a foul, and there was some horrendous decisions in the game which you're thinking, hang on a minute, you've given a foul for this, but you haven't booked a player for this, or you haven't given that free kick. For example, for me, there was a challenge on Anthony where he's just lost his shit and he's gone and smashed up McAllister afterwards, but the referee lost control of that, and that's his wrongdoing because he didn't give the foul in the first place. So, and it was a clear foul.
Was that when Anthony was like sort of squaring up to like Dunk as well? And
Yeah.
Just like having it,
Yeah.
He literally just bounced off Dunk.
But it made me laugh though.
Like a fly going into him.
That made me laugh though because the guy's like absolutely he can't be no more than like 5'6", 5'7". Dunk's like 6'4", and he's just running into him. I'm like, as much as he bounced off him, I'm like, he's got some balls, isn't he? Do you know what I mean? Like, go on, lads.
Well,
do you know what
I mean, he is doing it on a football pitch with
yeah.
all those people watching. I'm sure he's not doing that out in the street.
But anyway, we're going away from what we were talking about, and obviously I just feel like that shouldn't have happened. Obviously, I mean, football is if buts and maybes and stuff like that. And I heard Luke Shaw's interview after the game, and me and you again had a debate about XG and that off the air, didn't we? But and I kind of disagree. I kind of agree with Shaw. Like, as much as Brighton were great on the day, and they played some great football. I just feel like United, along a lot of the games this season, has followed that trend of if we had a decent striker or any sort of any striker would do. Do you know what I mean? We haven't even got a striker. I know Rashford has obviously scored 28, 29 goals this season, but that's the majority of that's coming from the wing. I just feel that with someone like a Harry Kane, who has been obviously heavy linked with us, we could have easily been out of sight by half time, at least 2 or 3-1, and 3-1 perhaps with Minotoma having his chance. And Brighton don't even get that far. It's just so disappointing this year, and it just really annoys me.
Yeah, no, obviously, I totally take that point, but that's neither here or there. Like, you can say that, but that's not what happened. If you then look at it from half time, it's 0-0.
Yeah.
You've still got the rest of the game to play. United sort of completely capitulated in the second half, and it was pretty much all Brighton.
I'd say, you say capitulated, did they though? Because Bruno had a chance, we had another chance. There was a couple other chances as well. I think all they done was just.
I don't think you really created that much quality in the second half.
No, they didn't create
really worth it.
But capitulating's like Anfield style. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I know what you mean. Maybe it was a bit of a hyperbole or whatever, but the second half, if you go it's 0-0 right at half time, that second half performance, Brighton have gone on and probably deserve to win that.
Yeah, but like we did, I'm not disagreeing. We did say though, well, on the review show on Monday, that we did say that obviously Brighton rested some of their players in that 6-0 win versus Wolves, didn't it? And obviously them they're getting a reaction off the players they dropped now, and all the players want to play. So obviously when McAllister's come back, Minotoma's come back, you had the Casado come back into the side. So all these players are, and Manchester United have not had that chance to rest the play. We don't have the quality, which sounds daft. We do not have the quality to come in no more and give our players a break. It's so frustrating. As soon as we drop a Casemiro or an Eriksen, or we just go back to the same McTominay and Fred, and it's just so frustrating because it's shit.
Yeah, I understand that, but then if you compare the sort of differences, I'm looking at this Brighton team right now. So Aicedo was playing at right back because Billy Gilmour played centre midfield next to McAllister, and 18-year-old Facundo Buonanotte played on the right. So you can't be telling me that Manchester United rested their players, that's why they lost, sort of thing, like with having a Fred.
No. I'm not saying.
I know.
I'm not
Yeah,
saying we
but
rested our
when you
players,
look
that's
at
why we
that,
lost.
but you look at the Brighton team, and if they're able to do it and rotate and use the likes of Billy Gilmore, who didn't cut the mustard at Norwich, for example, a lot of people were saying, "Who is this guy? He's not up to the standard." Billy Gilmore literally started in the midfield against United, and they've still ended up going on to win the game. Like,
Mm.
I do understand what you're saying. The team is nowhere near as good as when you rested Ericsson or whatever, but surely it shouldn't make that much of a difference when you see the likes of Brighton. They're changing players around like that, and they're still getting a tune out of them.
Look, I take everything on board what you're saying. I do, and I'm not saying their quality isn't there like that, but there's just so many players there who just need to be shot. You know, you don't even when you've got an 18-year-old lad playing on the right, like you say, and you're moving Casido out to the right hand side. They've done that deliberately to like combat the threat of Rashford on the break, etc. We know that, but when you've got a hungry 18-year-old and a 27-year-old Martial strutting around with his shoulders out like he's the king of the world and nothing can touch him. That doesn't fit well with me. I still think that is a player who doesn't deserve to be at Manchester United, doesn't deserve to wear the shirt, and his actions and his attitude on the pitch just relapse to everyone else on the pitch, where they're like, well, if he's not going to bother, why should I? And that's what you get.
Yeah,
It drops all
yeah, that is
as soon
fair
as
enough.
as soon as he's on the pitch, mate. Everyone else's performance just drops because he drops deep. He doesn't harass. He doesn't follow the principles of what Ten Hag has got in there. And obviously, Eric Ten Hag should then obviously do something about that. And I get that, but it's just
But as I literally
what do
just
you?
said though, like I just think it's a bit weak to say, oh, well, Fred, we had to play Fred, and Ericsson wasn't playing, for example, because if Brighton can do it with the likes of their second string players,
They're probably fun
it
better
shouldn't
than
really
us,
be that much. That shouldn't really be much of an issue for United.
but it just means that they're
Or so
better
you're
than
saying
us.
What you're saying, Billy Gilmore's a better player than Fred now?
Is he? Is he? Is he just better in that system?
Well, again, it's not necessarily down to the quality of players, then, is it? Maybe it's more the system, and that the system perhaps isn't actually as good as you think it is, and without actually having the high quality players in there, it doesn't work. Usually, a system you can tell would work here or there with a sort of similar quality of player. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, yes, you should be able to take out a player who's not maybe not as good, but it shouldn't affect it too much.
Yeah. No.
Is
I
that
get.
is that sort of the detriment to United? Perhaps the system isn't actually that strong. Maybe Ten Hag's play isn't actually as good as it initially seems, and it's actually for the fact that you've got Casemiro and Ericsson and Fernandes who are all high quality players, and that's why it's working when they play. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah. No. 100%. I do see what you're saying. I just still think. I just still think there's a lot there where it's just. I don't think like the Harry Maguire situation. I don't think that helps Manchester United. I don't think it helps the atmosphere within the club. You know, like you look at Brighton, they've obviously got a really good feel good factor there. They're obviously punching above their weight, which they are, but they're not. Do you know what I mean? They shouldn't realistically be in that position, but because we're seeing how well they're playing, you know what I'm saying? That their team doesn't.
They deserve to be there, but
Yeah, yeah,
on
100%. But
history
yeah,
and stuff like that, you wouldn't expect it.
100%. But it's just, I just feel like if Ten Hag wasn't there, I don't think Manchester United would be where they are because I just feel like there's time. You look at this season, for example, at home, we've conceded 8 goals. We've conceded 8 goals.
Yeah.
We've beaten City. We've beaten Liverpool. We've beaten Arsenal. We've beaten Spurs. You know, last year we got smashed against Liverpool. We got smashed against City. I think we were lucky to beat Arsenal. I think Spurs even done us like 6, didn't they? Do you know what I mean? So yeah, it's just
Oh yeah, there's definitely been improvement with United and what Ten
so.
Hag's done for sure. I definitely agree with
But
you
I
there.
just
I
feel
think
I just feel the players that are there now are not good enough. And I would even say if Fred went to Bournemouth, they wouldn't pick him. Brighton, they wouldn't pick him because he's not good enough. He's just not a. You know, you're not going to win or challenge for a Premier League with Fred in your midfield. It's just
yeah, but
it's levels,
you've got
mate.
you've got different. Yeah, I know, but you've got different goals then, haven't you? Brighton aren't going to look at trying to win the league, are they? They're
No.
they're literally just they're just happy to even be where they are, and if they get Europe as a bonus, you know,
I,
like it's a different kettle of fish, isn't it?
I wouldn't. Anyway, look, we're going on a major tangent, but I just feel. Don't get me wrong. I feel like Brighton deserved the win in the end, but I just felt like Manchester United again didn't. We've had games this season where we should have put it out of sight and we didn't, and it's cost us big time. And again, I think it cost us big time this week and this week. But we'll move into the West Ham. We're looking at the West Ham game, obviously. So I don't know. I've actually got this one down as a 2-1 West Ham win.
Really?
Yeah, because I think West Ham are on a bit of a. Obviously, they lost to Man City, but I just feel like they always turn up against United. I hate playing at West Ham. They always turn up. I just feel they've got that chance to secure. I think a win would secure their fate in the league. And I just feel Manchester United aren't. They're not performing away from home, mate. They're a completely different ball game away from home. I just don't have.
It's the away form, isn't it?
Oh, mate.
Away is not good enough. I think, I guess, especially, I know West Ham aren't in the top 10, but you look at the top 10, United's away record has been abysmal.
One draw against top 9, I think it is, because we beat
away
Fulham
and lost the rest.
100%.
Yeah, that's not good. Obviously West Ham aren't in that top half, but it will definitely be a difficult game. I know West Ham have lost the last 3, but in general, I think there's been a little bit of a turning point for West Ham. I think they have sort of improved over the last few months.
Yeah.
And obviously they still are fighting for survival, so they know that every point is still valuable. They're not home and dry yet, and it will be difficult. I think it all depends on whether United actually do turn up, though, because saying that, it will be difficult. United clearly have the quality to go and get the win, obviously. I think if you're a team in the top 6 going to West Ham, the only way you're not winning that is if you you throw it away yourself, if that makes sense.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, like Arsenal, like typical, and Liverpool nearly done it there as well. And I do understand exactly what you're saying. So this is going back to like the similar sort of thing as what I'm saying again in the Brighton game. If United go there, we had a couple of decent chances in the first couple of minutes against Brighton, and if we had took them, we could have took the game away from them. And it brings back the you know what I mean, that it gives you the crowd. The crowd's quiet. So if United go there, absolutely play them off the park in the first 20 minutes and get a couple of goals. Good night, Vienna, and happy go lucky. But
that's what I thought about Arsenal, to be honest, but that didn't happen, did it?
Yeah, but I just feel we know that. I think if you had Saliba in there, that wouldn't have happened. No way. I think you would have been fine. But I just feel it is basically when Manchester United go away from home, it's a case of which Manchester United turns up. So, if we go there and we're 2-0 up in the first 10 minutes, you wouldn't be surprised. But if we're also 2-0 down in the first 10 minutes, you wouldn't be surprised. And that's the way I see it with Manchester United away from home. If it was home game, I'd be like, 3-0, 3-1, So
I'm home, obviously.
Yeah, but I'm gonna go 2-1 West Ham for this one.
So, if you lose that game, right, Liverpool will only be 4 points behind.
Mhm.
Worried?
No. I thought about this, and I was worried. Like on the way home from the Villa game, and like Spurs equalised, I was like, oh yeah, here we go. Do you know what I mean? And then they won. I was like, do you know what? I started looking at all the fixtures. I couldn't see Liverpool losing the game till the end of the season. Potentially,
I just looked at it as well.
Yeah, potentially dropping points maybe against Leicester because that'll be a tough game away from home, and obviously Aston Villa aren't no mugs anymore. They were the only 2 games when I thought there was potential there for Liverpool to slip up, but United have got some difficult games. As in, it was the Brighton game obviously hadn't been played, and then West Ham was the worry. But then I think Wolves. Yes, we have struggled at home against Wolves in the past, but I think two different managers now. Do you know what I mean? I think Manchester United should do all right against Wolves, and then I think Bournemouth would probably win that one, and I think we'll beat Chelsea in full.
Bournemouth away could be a banana skin, though. I think.
Yeah.
Obviously, Bournemouth don't have too much to play for right now, but obviously just the way in which they're going, the momentum, the feel-good factor, as you quite likely say, it is Manchester United. There is still that little thing there about getting one over there. I do understand that. There is still that
100%.
element. So I think it could potentially be a banana skin. And then
Yeah,
if you lose that, Liverpool keep going.
nah.
What if United slip out of the top four? Liverpool sneak back in. That
Do,
would be.
do you know
There's
what?
chances. There's
Do,
chances.
of course there is, and you've got to look at that. And I just said to myself the other day, like, if that happens, I'm just going to go and hide, and that'd be worse than when they lost the league because
You're a bit
when they won the
nervous, aren't
league.
you?
Sorry.
You're a bit
No,
nervous, aren't you?
I just we need 9 points. Can you see Manchester United not getting 9 points from them remaining games? No, I can't see it. I think the home form, like we've just covered, the home form is the
Yeah.
one which sees them through. I think they win the rest of the home games. They'll beat Fulham.
Right.
Fulham will be on the beach.
If you,
Chelsea, will have nothing to play for. Frank Lampard might want to go out on a high, but I think their last game of the season is at home against Forest, I want to say. Or Newcastle, I can't remember who they've got now on the last day of the season. So they've got a chance to actually do something.
then, if you lose against West Ham, which you're predicting will
Yeah.
happen, and then you lose against Bournemouth, and providing Liverpool win all their games, it's only a point. And okay, yes, it's you've then got home games like Fulham, etc. But if it's only a point, that I know that pressure could play into it.
We'll win. We'll get the 9 points. We need 9 points. We only need 9 points, And let's
We'll
look at
see.
it. Let's look at it logically. If Manchester United win tomorrow, the conversation's dead in it because they need another two wins.
Yeah.
Which I can see them getting that. I just think it's one of them things where we're looking at it and you're trying to make me nervous about it. And like, it's like I know what you're doing, but yeah, I about to say I wasn't. Let's say I wasn't 100% confident coming on the way home from the Villa game, but then I just think that's just natural, isn't it? Like, that 99% of you thinks we're gonna do it, and then you've got that 1% in your head where you're like, for fuck's sake, do you know what I mean? Like,
And then it does actually start playing on your mind.
yeah, of course, yeah,
It's football and
yeah,
anything can happen.
yeah, of course. But anyway, I've gone for a 2-1 West Ham win. Have you given your prediction? I can't remember.
No, I haven't. I don't know now. I was probably gonna go for United, but I'm gonna sort of manifest that West Ham win. So 3-1 West Ham.
Okay, right. Right, let's look at Liverpool going forward then. Obviously, Liverpool, they obviously won at the midweek versus Fulham, 1-0. I was really disappointed in that. I mean, like, as in the penalty which was given for that. There's been a few dodgy decisions against my side this year, particularly the one at home to Forest, which was an absolute carbon copy of this penalty that's given to Liverpool. And I'm just like, it's even worse because the one at Forest, the geezer smashed into him, and you can see Weghorst it was. And then and then this game, the Fulham defenders actually pulled away from it, and they've still got the penalty. And yeah, just really done me head in that. Did only a 1-0 win at home to Fulham. So
Yeah, I mean, regarding sort of decisions, it is just sort of kind of inconsistency, isn't it? There's no rhyme or reason to sort of anything. You've got so many sort of decisions going, and all right, maybe it doesn't initially make sense, but they explain it and they say the rules, and like, okay, fine, you can see why they've given that, but then they don't stick to it for the rest of the season,
yeah,
and they start changing it, and it's just like, I know it's an interpretation of the rules and everyone has, each referee etc will have their own version of it, but still you need to have that bit of consistency, because to be honest I think it's all a bit all over the place.
I just do you know what the one thing I always hate about these VAR decisions, and there was a game a couple of years back, Arsenal versus Leicester stands out massively in my head, but then you've also got there was another game. Anyway, there was another game, but when a decision like VAR was brought in for clear and obvious decisions, if it's going past like a minute and a half and they're sitting there reviewing, is that a clear and obvious mistake? You know, is that clear and obvious? Do we need to actually sit there and watch this 55 times to get it right? Because then it's not clear and obvious, is it? You know,
I th- so I heard something quite recently about this, and I think there might be a slight different again interpretation of how you determine the clear and obvious. So I think it has to be based on what the referee is thinking. Obviously, as they're all talking on the mics and stuff. I
yeah,
think it's just actually from the Italian football podcast again, and they were sort of saying that the clear and obvious error will sort of be based on what the referees are saying and how they got to that decision
yeah,
and their sort of viewpoint on it. If that's a complete, well, no, that's not got nothing to do with what we're looking at, then I think it's a bit more clear and obvious. I think that's sort of what was said. So, and because we don't actually hear the thought process of what the referees are thinking, and how they've got to that decision, it then makes it way more confusing. And I think we have said it before, but we need to have that sort of verification as to why they've made that decision. And even if we don't agree with it, at least we might understand sort of the thought processes as to how they've reached that decision, and you can understand the logic behind it. But at the minute, it's just right. The referee's made this decision. The VAR person has made this decision, and that's it. And you don't hear. So either you need to hear what they're sort of saying at the time, or literally come out after the game and explain the decision.
I think
Why can't you do that?
I have seen there was one with in Australia. They done it, didn't they? They had
Yeah,
theirs mic'd up, and Ligue 1 have now done it in France. They had
that's
their
brilliant.
yeah, and the thing I don't like is coming out after the game and explaining your decisions, because you could go and you can review that and go, yeah,
Yeah.
I'll just say I give it for this. Do you know what I mean? Whereas I'd prefer it to
Well,
be
yeah,
mic.
that's true.
I prefer it to be mic'd up. And obviously,
You would.
and what you can do there is, it's up to the directors of the television to like allow that to happen, and like give it a bit of a mic up, because I wouldn't want to hear, you know, fucking ref, fuck, all that sort of guff from and from like the players on the pitch, etc. You won't want to hear none of that. But I just want to hear it when they go to a decision, and because they must obviously hear it, because you can hear Neville and Carragher and the commentators, can't you, talking about it, can't you? So they've obviously got the feed into their ears, because they go, yeah,
I'm not.
goals give what?
I don't
Yeah,
know.
they
I'm not sure if can they hear what. I don't think they can
yeah
hear
yeah
what the
yeah
referees are
nah,
saying, can they?
100%, because they you hear them sometimes before they even say decision on the VAR thing. It actually says is given it. They go goals given and stuff like that. And obviously they know like the check's over, because they also say like when the referees run up the pitch, he's like, yeah, check's over, and they go to the referee and he's given it one of them, like, play on. So
That might
they hear.
just be.
No, they
I
can
don't
hear.
know. That might
They
just sort of be a delay or whatever.
No, 100%. They're mic'd up. They can hear that. They can hear what's going on in the VAR. Look, but going back onto that Liverpool game, I don't think that that should have been given as a penalty for me. I didn't actually see the game because obviously it wasn't on in the UK, but Mo Salah giving them the win against Fulham. Obviously they got Brentford at home today. Brentford fresh off the win against Forest the other week, where they come back. They've not been the same away from home as they are at home. They're a different side. How do you see it going?
Yeah, definitely agree. Obviously, we know how good Liverpool are at home. I think they've got the third best home record in the league.
Mhm.
Again, I definitely agree about Brentford. Sorry, they're not the same team at home, and they have sort of run out of steam a little bit towards the end. Obviously, they've had a great year. I think finishing in the top half is a wonderful achievement, of course, and Thomas Frank again has done a wonderful job. Um, but they haven't really got too much to play for right now, have they? So you'd expect Liverpool to easily get the win, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I would disagree with on there is, well, not disagree with. I do agree with Liverpool obviously being really good at home, but it's just the fact that Liverpool haven't been the last couple of games. I think they've ground out. So Fulham 1-0, um, Forest 3-2,
Yeah,
Spurs
that's true. To be fair,
4-3. So they conceding the
hasn't been
goals.
plain sailing, has it? Yeah.
No, so I've gone for 2-2 today, based on the just Ivan Toney. That is literally it. You're like, I can't really put it down to anything. I
I mean,
think
he's
like
got 20 Premier League goals. I mean,
yeah,
that's just pretty incredible, to be
and
honest.
you know, you look at some of the games, right? Forest had some good chances. They hit the bar. They had a really good chance from an overhead kick towards the end of the game, so they could have won that game. And the Spurs game, like I think Son hit the post, Romero hit the post,
Yeah,
or the
yeah.
bar. You know, if it wasn't for Lucas Moura just giving it away like that, they would have won. They could
Hmm.
have potentially won that game. So
Well, obviously they were Liverpool 3-0 up as well. It's not good if you're throwing away leads like that either.
well, as Arsenal have learned, and I'm not trying to be an
Yeah.
idiot there, but Arsenal have
No,
learned
no,
from
it's
that.
true.
It's a mindset thing, isn't it? As soon as you start, you know, conceding these goals,
The confidence isn't the same as it has been within the Liverpool camp. Um, so yeah, I mean, to be fair, I didn't really think about that. Yes, they have got those wins, but
they haven't been exactly
ultimately
plain
it's not
sailing.
been too convincing. No,
No.
but still, I just don't think. I think Liverpool will get the job done either way. Um, if Brentford was still perhaps fighting for Europe, or had a bit more pressure sort of around them, I'd say maybe, but it's just they're not the same as what they were at the beginning of the season either. Like the last sort of few months, they have suffered a dip,
Yeah,
Brentford.
yeah.
So yeah, I think Liverpool will get the win.
Okay. Well, I've gone 2-2. You've gone for a Liverpool win. You got a prediction on your result there at all?
Yeah, we'll go 2-1 Liverpool.
Okay. Right. Well,
I
not
feel
too
like
far.
I've tipped Liverpool to win like 3, 4 times in a row now. Like, what's up with me?
You're not right in the head, obviously, are you? Right. Let's move on
Just
then.
wanting to chase down United.
Of course you do. It'd be so depressing. But then I think you sit there and you go, well, actually, United's away form is what's let them down, isn't it? We know that. We've been through it. And it's just the away form. It's just like Liverpool. They are a carbon copy at the minute of each other. They can't win for shit away from home, but put them in at home, you know.
Yeah,
Anyway, move on. We'll cover your guys now. Obviously, Arsenal away to Newcastle, and obviously Arsenal beating Chelsea during the week convincingly 3-1. Nice easy game, and I don't think Chelsea got their goal due to the fact that Arsenal were just in cruise control. So I
yeah.
don't. Yeah, so you know, I'm. This for me is the weekend. The title is near enough put to bed. I think St James's Park. We've just covered things getting into your head. This is going back to the scene of the master show last year of Arsenal throwing top four away. It plays into your mind. It's towards the end of the season again, where you could bottle it, and I can just imagine Arteta doing his whole potato talks and how Walker's crisp come out of a potato, and if you want to become a Walker's crisp, you know, all that crap what he does. It's just like it's brilliant, but and given it large, and maybe that being a bit over compelling for the Arsenal players, and then just like, yeah, I can see them falling flat on their ass this weekend, and the title's done.
Yeah. Well,
And your
yeah. I
face,
mean,
you're agreeing, just agree.
well, yes and no. So obviously that was horrendous. That um that 3-0 defeat against Newcastle. I mean, off the back of it was the defeat at Tottenham as well. I was literally in Bath actually for both of those games, and it was horrendous. It was so horrendous. Um, but I think I could see what you're saying if we were still if we were still top, and it was still in our hands. But as I sort of said before, because we've no longer really got that pressure on. It's ours to throw away. We've already kind of done that. It does sort of take the pressure off a little bit. And if anything, I think will be able to more easily use that as motivation. So, as I said, yes, I think Arteta will probably play on the fact that we have lost that game, and he'll probably try and motivate the players through that. And I think it would have got the pressure would get to us if we did still have that top and Man City were still chasing us. But because they're not, I feel like what is there to bottle? Do you know what I mean? We've already kind of done it. Like, what is
Oh,
there
you've
to
already
lose now?
you've already bottled it. You're saying you've already bottled it. You
But
told me you
know what
haven't
I
bottled
mean?
it.
That's what Well, no, I'm just saying the general consensus. The general feeling now is that we have sort of already thrown it away. It's no longer in our hands, is it? So when you look at it like that, it's like we're kind of going there with nothing to lose.
I think
In a sense.
uh,
Do you see what I'm saying?
yeah, I get you, but I just feel that Man City will smash Leeds today. Arsenal players will probably sit there and go, "Fuck's sake!" Do you know what I mean? Like, what have we got to do? Do you know what I mean? And St James's Park at the minute is horrible. Like the build up like like the build up they have there, and the I hate it because the new owners have come in and they've done everything what the Glazers, what United fans want the Glazers to do. Do you know what I mean? Like Old Trafford is going to be horrendous. When the Glazers have gone, you ain't going to want to step 50 yards within that joint. Do you know what I mean? That ground will be unreal because the amount of supporters who don't go to Old Trafford and give up their home season tickets and stuff because of the Glazers will all come back, and there is a lot of them. I'll tell you now, there's a lot who just will not go to Old Trafford and fund the Glazers' back pockets. Right now, you've reversed that because that happened at St James's Park. Like the attendances were dwindling, and now the new owners have come in and just given that club just such a boost, and they're spending loads of money on the banners and like really drumming up the atmosphere. And I can see Newcastle being 2 up really quickly.
Oh yeah. I can definitely see that as well. Like, obviously, we know how good Newcastle have been.
Yeah.
You know yourself how difficult it was because they were all over United. So yeah, especially since we are certainly pretty fragile right now.
And have I seen that? And am I correct in saying that potentially Arsenal could be going there with holding in? Is it Kiwior, the centre half? Isn't Gabriel now looking as a doubt as well?
Well, I mean, probably he picked up about 4 knocks against Chelsea midweek before we took him off, and
yeah, but you can play on one leg against Chelsea, can't you?
But even the commentators were saying, "What's he still doing on the pitch? Like, just get him off, like rest him."
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It's going to be difficult, but I'm just hoping and praying that the Mikel Arteta masterclass, which I said on the podcast, is coming true. Putting that pressure back on City. Big Sam coming in, getting that point today, and then we get that win against Newcastle, and the title's back on. Come on.
Yeah, but you say that, you do realise that Man City can afford to lose a game and still win the league, right? So even if they lose today, it's still in their hands and they can win the league.
Yeah.
I just bring you back down to earth here.
I know that, but
Do you know what? You've set yourself up for this.
No. You've got to keep fighting. Looking at it logically, right? Manchester City have won the league. We're not going to beat Newcastle, but that's boring. Like, I want to still back my team right till the end. I want to still stay positive. I don't just want to throw the towel in. Like, you got to stay positive with your team.
Oh, sorry, I fell asleep. I was just like listening to your dribble.
Why? Because United fans just throw their toys out of the pram as soon as something goes wrong. That's usually what happens.
No, I'm joking, mate. It's just you've lined yourself up all season for this. It's great. I just love seeing you now try to like bring it all back. Like, we could do it. We could do it. We could do this. And if this happens and this happens,
staying positive. Keeping that positive mindset. Not giving up on the boys. Supporting the team. That's what a proper fan does, actually.
See them straws up there. This is you. Proper clutching, didn't you? Got another question. Fernaldo 999. Obviously, I do know this lad. Fen. Used to work with him, in fact. A United fan. Got a question for you. Who do you think will join Southampton in getting relegated? Well, we did give our predictions on our first podcast back, and our predictions then were Southampton, and we went the same, I believe. We went Southampton, Bournemouth, and Leeds. And obviously that has kind of changed now, but obviously because of Bournemouth's great run of form. And we will be covering this on the podcast. We did say we are going to do. I actually listened back to an end of an episode the other day, and we said that we were going to do the last 3 games and give our thoughts on the rest of the season for these fixtures. So, what do you reckon?
I still think it will be Leeds, to be honest. We look at their results, as we said. Even though the Sam Allardyce masterclass today, even if that happens, they'll end up still going down. Obviously Southampton, and then Forest. I think it will be Forest now.
I am going to go, and I tell you what, I can really see it because I think Forest have got a good game today for themselves. I can see, or the weekend, sorry, Forest is Monday. I can see it being Southampton, Everton, and Leeds. I can see
the only thing about Everton is that of how well they played at Leicester. I think that will give them quite a good boost.
Yeah. And obviously they're going to beat Man City at home as well, aren't they?
Oh yeah, of course. I forgot about that one too. But I mean, they've got Brighton away though. I mean, Man City, Wolves away, at Bournemouth at home. That's not easy, is it? But yeah, you're right. They're going to beat Manchester City, and that's going to be huge for them staying up. And huge in the title race.
So who are your 3 teams? Obviously, just answering a friend's question.
Southampton, Leeds, and Forest.
Okay, I'm going to go Southampton, Everton, and Leeds. I think Leeds will go down in the last day, so it'll be like the top. And that's how I see it finishing. But no, we will be covering that on the podcast in depth. So I'm kind of going to like. That might actually change though, mightn't it? Obviously, because if we now go and do our predictions and we see how the results go, we could actually go, well, yeah, that's changed. So tune into that episode of the podcast. Yeah, of course it is. Yeah. Right. So where were we anyway? We were in the Arsenal game. So what do you think the result's going to be for the Arsenal Newcastle game?
Well, I always find it so difficult with Arsenal because I've got a logical opinion and then I've got like sort of a heartfelt opinion.
Obviously.
And usually the logical one is obviously more than correct.
Yeah.
Logically, we're going to lose that game. It'll be too much for us. But yeah, I just hope we can pull out of the bag.
This is the thing though. This is what I was saying about the United. You know, like ideally in my head, United are 2 up by 15 minutes and it's cruise control, and we might win the game 3-1. But I just can't see it. I'm just going to go 2-1 United West Ham. So yeah, basically. So I think you're near enough saying what I'm saying. The title's done this weekend.
Pretty much. We'll go with I think Newcastle will probably win fairly comfortably. In all honesty, probably 2-3-0.
Okay, I've gone 3-1 Newcastle. I've gone 3-1 Newcastle because I just, like I said, I think they've just got too much for you. I don't think that it's weird because I don't think they've got too much for you in the sense of they're better than you. It's just that St James's Park effect at the minute. And I think, like, obviously Isaac's
in our current situation.
Yeah, Isaac and Wilson are in unbelievable form, and I think if you had Saliba and Gabriel and Ben White and Zinchenko, that's basically your back 4, and I think that you haven't got them, and I think it's going to give you a massive disadvantage, and I think Newcastle will just steamroll you. To be fair, I think it could be well over within the first half an hour. To be honest.
Yeah.
And it could be the ultimate capitulation and bottle job. That's how I can see it. If they get a couple within the first couple of minutes, it could be 4 or 5. Honest to God.
Well, I mean, I think it's silly to say. I'll just quickly say I think it's quite silly and weak to say that Arsenal have bottled it. It's not a bottle.
No, I think that game. Sorry, I'm not saying the whole season because I agree with you.
Sort of in general though. in general, because there's a lot of rival fans say, "Oh, Arsenal bowl it, etc., etc." I know I have said that myself, but
Yeah.
it's sort of only as sort of part of the joke. In general, I think it's not as if Arsenal have bowled it. Like as I've said before, you're losing players. You're running out of steam. It's not as if, say, it was Manchester City, for example, in their position right now. You'd say they'd bowled it because of they haven't really had any injuries. Um, they're now, the quality and caliber of the team and where they are in terms of the project, for example. Like,
I disagree with that. I would disagree with that because I just feel that Man City have got more to play. They're playing in more games. That like
yeah, but
I disagree with the way you say that Arsenal are running out of steam because haven't got the competitions to run out of steam. They went out of the
no,
FA
but
Cup
it's not
early.
that
They went out of the
but you're looking at that. You're looking at that in a different way. You're looking at that in the point of view is that we're tired. And when I say run out of
okay.
steam, I'm not saying as if
Right.
we're running out of steam because we're tired, but it's
Fair
just
enough.
more of the physical drain over our mental drain of a season. Like we've not.
Well, that's always that thing when you have a title race, isn't it? Man City have now got the experienced players to win a title.
Yeah,
They've won the title. You know,
they've been there, done it. They've
if
got these
Arsenal,
quality players. They've got the squad to rotate a lot
yeah,
more. So
exactly.
yes, again, that does come
But
into it with the physicality of it as well. But
yeah,
still, it's just about having the team to freshen up. And I think against Chelsea for Arsenal, I think that is why we looked a lot better because we did freshen it up. Because you've got to keep the rest of the players in that healthy competition. And okay, there is perhaps some players who haven't necessarily been up to standard in the depth, sort of like Fabio Vieira. I think he's struggled quite a lot and not really proven much yet. But we haven't. I would have liked to have seen a bit more of Jorginho, for example.
mm.
Um,
I
think
honestly,
I would like to see a little bit more of Kieran Tierney at points. I would have liked to have seen Trossard over those last few games where he was dropped. I would have liked to have seen him come in a bit more. Perhaps maybe at points earlier on in the season and when Jesus has been back, maybe a bit more of Nketiah as well, just to keep everyone a bit more on their toes. And I think that's the only thing about Arteta is that he is very reluctant to change his side. And yes, in one way that can be very positive because you obviously get in a run of momentum and you get the chemistry and everyone is on the same page. But I think what's important is that slight rotation, and Pep has done that quite frequently. I think his squad management and how he selects his players and selecting the right time of when to give a player a string of 8, 10 starts in a row, and perhaps when to just drop them back a bit and not play them and let them develop. I think that's where Pep exceeds Mikel Arteta. I think his squad management is a hell of a lot better, and that's pretty important.
I think we can open up to another debate with that. Football is always a game of opinions, and I will absolutely I just sound like a sour and bitter Manchester United fan when I say it, but I always say that as much as Man City play great football, and they are playing some great football, and they've got Haaland, etc., and I get that, and I know what you're going to say, and a lot of people do always come back with this, but Pep is a checkbook manager in my. If he didn't have that money, he wouldn't be able to produce this sort of thing. Like people seem to, and I'm not going to go. I don't want a massive debate about it, but people seem to forget his first season. They finished fourth in the league, and they only got fourth in the league on the last day of the season. I think because Liverpool or Chelsea slipped up, or someone slipped up for that to allow them into fourth.
He then went just a realistic part of the project.
Yeah, but no, he also was taking over a title-winning side, which had Company, had Aguero, had Silva, had all these top-class players in it, and they finished fourth just, and then they went and spent 400 million on their defence, and then they done it again the next season because they still didn't get it right. So people sit there and go, and you're right. I'm not denying that. He manages his squad well, but let's face it. It's not like he's got a shit squad, is it? And this goes back to the thing I said about Manchester United. Fred doesn't get into the Man City's second team. Fabio Vieira, like Arsenal can't do it. I was going to say the comparisons between Manchester United and Arsenal is so. We've often said it. It's so. They are so comparable and so alike because when Arsenal drop a couple of players, you get the same result as what we do. it isn't the cohesion's there,
Yeah.
and you don't
Yeah. Yeah.
have
Yeah.
the ability. You don't have the ability to allow cohesion between your your second string players within your first team. You know, you can't just bring in a couple of players to bring that cohesion in. Do you know what I'm saying? And that's the
Yeah. Yeah.
difference.
I do.
That's the
I
difference
do get that.
between. That's the difference between when you see um, Brighton play. I think there was a brilliant interview with Lewis Dunk after the Manchester United Brighton game where he was like, I know what the number 10 should be doing. I know what the number 6 should be doing. I can play in any of them roles on the pitch because I know what that player should be doing. Oh, okay, he might not have the same effect as that number 10, but he says, I know what De Zerbi wants on that player. So it's just, as much as I do agree with you on the whole Pep thing, and he has a great man management of this whole rotation, that's exactly what Ferguson used to do. I just feel, let's be honest, it's not exactly difficult, is it? You know,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
oh,
I take that
I'm
point.
gonna drop Grealish, but I'm gonna bring Mahrez in.
Yeah, obviously he's got quality players, and it's unmatched across Europe. You know, there's no other team in the world that
Okay,
can
sorry,
have
I'm
that
not.
depth and quality like Manchester City. I completely take that, but as I've said before, and as we've said, it's so much easier to say, oh, he's got all these players, he can just do it. It's so easy to do that. It's not that easy to just put a team together and then expect them to play like that. That's a specific skill, and like, okay, yes, maybe Pep doesn't necessarily do as well with getting the best out of lower quality players, for example,
Yeah, I
but
just.
that's his area of expertise, of getting the best out of the best players
Yeah,
and players as well.
to me, I just. I get it. I get it, but I just feel that it's
They're
overlooked.
different skills, aren't they? You take a De Zerbi, for example, now, and yes, you can say how well he's done tactically, but he's got ability of getting the best out of players who aren't elite at the top of their game. Because look what he did with Sassuolo as well.
Hmm. Yeah.
It's different, isn't it? Pep is a manager who gets the best out of elite players. And yeah, you can say, oh, he's got this quality player. Yes, it looks easy on paper, but it's not. You see time and time again how difficult it actually is to
Like
get the right
Chelsea.
combinations yeah, exactly, to deal with
Hmm.
egos, to
Yeah.
deal with
I know. I
you
know.
know,
I
keeping
get that.
everyone happy. That's a specific skill that you need to have,
I
and
get.
Pep is the master at that.
I get that. But if you also take away Pep, and this is what I'm trying to get at, if you took Pep away and then you had Man City's second string 11, sorry, bloody 10, sound like friggin' Tom Bowley here. I don't know how many players you need on a pitch to play a game. But if you took Chelsea's second, Man City's second team, they'd probably finish in the top five. They would. I could easily see them finishing in the, well, okay, top five maybe an exaggeration, but the
Yeah, I
second,
don't disagree with that.
it's
But you
just,
look at the teams and players caliber money again that Manchester United have spent, and it's not produced the same results. There's a specific skill in managing the correct players like that.
no.
No one managed.
Yeah, but Manchester United,
Ronaldo wasn't managed correctly, was he? Like
but
that
Manchester,
whole situation. A lot of the big egos in the past. You see, when managers have gone to Real Madrid, for example, they've got all these superstars, etc., and Galacticos. They can't do it. It takes a specific and certain type of
yeah, but
person
I
to
still
go
don't
in
think.
there and get the right amount of quality out of these players.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree. You're kind of not. You're not on the same wavelength as what I'm trying to say. It's just. I just feel that it is kind of an easy thing. It's not like he's got to get the best out of these mediocre players or nothing like that. I just don't think he could either.
Exactly. It's a different skill.
I just don't.
It's a different type of skill.
I just. I think it's sometimes overlooked with certain things with Pep, and I just think wherever he goes, you know, like if he didn't win and I didn't want it to turn into this sort of debate with him, but wherever he's gone, he's had money, he's had the players already there. It's not been like a massive chore for him. You know, the only thing is which has been hard for him is like getting his point of play over to the players, I suppose. and his style of play, what he wants them to play. But yeah, I just think there is a bit of an overhype of Pep Guardiola at times. It's just my honest opinion. I think he's great at what he does, as in his football, the style, and football and stuff like that. But it's just, I think it's also really easy for him.
I don't think it's a coincidence that he's walked in to Barcelona and Bayern Munich and Manchester City and pretty much dominated the domestic league like he has done. Like, yes, I completely understand that he has at every point had elite players,
But
but
also, it's already.
it's not easy. It's just not easy. It's like when you said you're playing Football Manager, you go sign all these players. You can't just you can't just mold them together and expect them to win. It's not about that, is it?
I love our Football Manager comparisons. It's great.
It's,
Two,
it's, it's true.
two things, Harry. No, I'm not going to reveal my actual background because I'm in my daughter's room, so that would look a bit strange. And yeah, no, I think Harry, again, like obviously being on the podcast before, he does have some interesting points. And he's saying basically near enough of what you're saying, Ash, is like a lot of top players turn into superstars and turn elite under managers like Pep as well. So it also looks like he has a better squad, which that's what I'm saying in effect as well. Like some of them players who play for Man City aren't exactly great, but they like a Rodri, a Gundogan. They're not a Rodri and a Gundogan. You wouldn't say they're. I tried to think about this the other day. Actually, I was going to bring it up in the podcast. I don't think Gundogan would have been as good for Manchester United because I think he was linked with United before he went to City.
Yeah, and
And I'm
that's
not
down to Pep.
I, right, but I also when I don't like, and I'm not. It's not me being a bitter Manchester United fan. This is how I see it, and it's just factual. There's a difference, and this is why I hate it so much, and I think this is why a lot of Manchester United fans hate it so much. The way that Manchester United has been run is fucking disastrous. Yeah, and I know we're live on YouTube, and I have to watch what I'm saying, but it's not. Like they've gone in there and they've they've got all these Barcelona people who ran that club professionally when they were there, and since they've left, then Barcelona people who I can't say his name, but Trexie Berikstein, whatever his name is, he's like there now, isn't he? He's like a director and part of like how they bring players into the club and stuff. It's being managed correctly at the top. When the Glazers had that chance to get rid of David Gill and he left, they appointed a freaking banker, man. Do you know what I mean? We've never had that. Getting people like in for an interview, like Jurgen Klopp, who was told by Sir bloody hell, I can't even believe I put that in there, by Ed Woodward, that this place is like Disneyland. What? How? Like what comparison is that to football? And Klopp, deservedly and rightfully so, walks off and goes to Liverpool because. And that's why I hate the Manchester United comparison. And I know we spent that 1.2 billion, but that's because it's mismanagement at the top. I don't think we would have spent anywhere like
Exactly.
that. I
That's
don't.
the whole point of it.
But yeah, Manchester United is run differently from the top. That's not Pep. That's the people above him do it correctly. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's not
that's the
Pep.
point.
It's not the point, is it?
Yes, it is.
Right.
That's the
Look.
point. The point is that Manchester City, I said before, Manchester City have done a lot better in terms of their recruitment than Manchester United because you've spent similar amounts of money and not get the best out of it. And you've literally just said it yourself. The reason because of that is because the management above that is ineffective compared to Manchester City. So you're essentially agreeing with the statement, aren't you?
No.
Well, you are.
Right. I can't do this. I just can't do this now. We're an hour and 10 minutes into it, and I'm just like, I really want to sit there and like really go into it and have a proper debate about it. It's just, yeah, I hate the Man City Man United comparison. It's just
I understand that.
twats.
Yeah,
They're just idiots.
it's different. No. It's different. Yes, I take that for that makes sense. Manchester United have been run poorly. Edward Wood sort of made a whole mockery of it, but that's the whole point. The point is that the Manchester City structure and setup has been way more effective in their recruitment than Manchester United. And okay, that isn't all down to Pep, of course, but that's the reason as to why Manchester City have done a lot better and got a lot more success out of the sort of similar budgets than Manchester United. You've literally said it yourself, because it's different and the structure is different, and the reason behind it, as you said, is the ineffectiveness at the top with your Woodwards not getting the right players in, not having the right sort of structure, not identifying the right sort of players, not in terms of ability necessarily, but with the right character
personality,
and mantra who
attitude,
are on
yeah,
board with the project.
100%.
Yeah, that's where Manchester City have got that right. And yes, it's not all Pep, but that's the difference. So you essentially, in essence, you've agreed with the statement, haven't you?
I have, but if you remember the actual conversation where you're now reverting back to when we were in Milan, that wasn't actually what you were saying. You said about Man City's You said about Manchester City's recruitment, and I was like, it was kind of like I'm trying to explain a conversation now, which I hate. And then you just went, well, it's better than Man United. So I'm like, why you got to fucking bring them into it? Like, I don't really care about Manchester United. We're not talking. That's what pissed me off, because it's like it is incomparable. The clubs have been run.
I've already explained as to why you'd compare it to Manchester United.
Moving on, because I'm relevant in Manchester United's chat, which I just like to talk about football in general. Do you know what I mean? It's like fucking hell. Like I know how bad Manchester United has been run. I am fucking. You know what I'm like, and completely anti-Glazer, and if I had a gun, yeah. Anyway, moving on. Look, we've gone completely off tangent.
Completely gone off tangent.
I think
we're talking about Newcastle.
Yeah,
we have given our predictions on that game.
Yeah,
haven't we?
yeah. And Harry, you're not wrong. Like and perhaps you should come on and have another episode with us again sometime. I think we should just rattle through some of these predictions now, because we're well into the time where we don't want to be talking and grabbing people from the coronation. So we've agreed that we're coronating we're crowning a new king this week. And this weekend, and we're also crowning champions of England in Man City as well. So let's move on. Just quick, we'll rattle through these now, because we haven't, we've got lives to leave, and I don't think people want to sit here for an hour and a half listening to our waffle. Bournemouth Chelsea, I've gone 3-0. Bournemouth.
3-0 Bournemouth.
Yeah, 100%.
Well, I mean, you could definitely see Bournemouth win. I mean, Chelsea are just pure and utter dog shit, aren't they?
Yeah.
What's their last 6 in a row? Haven't won in 8. Yeah, Bournemouth should win that.
Yeah.
I'll go with it. That's weird to say, isn't it? Bournemouth should be beating Chelsea,
Yeah.
especially after the amount of sort of money they've spent as well. But realistically, they should. I'm gonna go for Bournemouth 2-0.
Another group of Yanks run the club incorrectly. Who would have thought it? Do you know what I mean? Okay, right, so we'll move on from that one. And I think that win would actually take Bournemouth above Chelsea. I think you might want to check that. It might be Brentford and someone. I think it might be Brentford who can overtake. No, they've overtook them.
Yeah, it will.
I think I'm right.
But then Chelsea still have a game in hand over Bournemouth.
But that's ridiculous. So if the results go right this weekend, Bournemouth and Wolves can overtake Chelsea. And Chelsea would be 14th. Anyway, right, let's move on. We'll quickly swing it along. So we'll go Wolves versus Aston Villa. Aston Villa, like we say, they have been in superb form since Emery's been in charge. And I think it's a different Villa rocks up there today. I'm going 2-1 for Villa.
Yeah, I think Wolves are a lot better at home, and I think they're going to want to bounce back after that 6-0 defeat. So actually, I think Wolves will get a result. I think it'll be 1-1.
Okay. Well, we should start doing a coupon with like both teams to score, because we're predicting some some results here, aren't we? Some goals here. Right. So I think we've got one more game today. We've got Tottenham versus Palace. How do you see that one? I think. I'll let you go first with this one.
Yeah. Obviously Tottenham, we know they've been pretty poor, but I think the fight back that they've shown in the last couple games, has been quite key. Obviously, I know they lost to Liverpool, but being able to come back 3 goals, etc., is still pretty impressive at Anfield as well. Palace obviously doing a lot better under now that Roy Hodgson's come back, but I actually think the Tottenham will get a win here at home. I think they'll turn up and they'll get a 1-0 win, a narrow 1-0 win.
Palace?
No, Tottenham.
I was going to say. Right, I've gone 2-1 Palace. 2-1 Spurs. Sorry, I was kind of nodding head in agreement with you then. I just think Tottenham have shown some really good fight back against United and Liverpool, and I think they'll just carry that on. And now they're playing a lesser side. I think they'll yeah yeah. I
Palace
think
got a few wins. Like they haven't got too much. I think at home, that Tottenham, the players will know that they need to put a performance in. They need to give the fans a win at least because they can't keep going. And I think Son's been doing a lot better too. Obviously, Kane has done well, continues to do well. But I think the upturn in form from Son has been pretty important.
I tend to agree with that. And I think that change of formation against Liverpool probably puts Liverpool. I think they'll probably go with that against that, and I think they'll beat Palace. I'm going to say 2-1. Yeah. Reece Davidson. Do you know Reece Davidson?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Reece.
Which one of you has the worst football takes?
What's Reece on about? He's full of shit as always.
I just thought, I don't know, I would say you. No, I don't know.
Reece is a Rangers fan, so he's just butthurt because Celtic are winning pissing the league.
He's a Rangers fan.
Yeah.
Moving on. I can't stand Scottish football. I think it's pathetic. Yeah, it is. It is, isn't it? It's pointless. It's futile. Okay. Right. So we've done obviously Newcastle, Arsenal. We've done West Ham, Man City. We've just got the other weekends. The rounding off the bank holiday weekend on the Mondays. We've got Fulham, Leicester. I've gone for 1-1 on this one. I think Leicester have actually done well under Dean Smith, surprisingly, because I didn't think they would. But yeah, I've gone for 1-1 on this one.
Fulham, Leicester.
Did you even go that far? Did you even realise there was games on Monday?
Oh yeah.
I've kind of learnt my lesson after like the last couple of weeks where there's been games all over the show. So.
Leicester have done a lot better, to be fair.
Yeah.
Like I haven't lost in the last three. Obviously went a little bit lucky against Everton. I think if it wasn't for Iverson, that they they would have lost that game. However, Fulham really haven't been the same for quite some time, really, since Mitrovic has gone out.
Yeah.
And you would think that maybe Leicester could get a result because they're fine. So yeah, we'll go for 1-1.
Yeah. So okay. Reece, I don't know about that comment. I don't know. He's just said Arsenal bowl jobs. So.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Classic.
Yeah.
Expect nothing less from that boy.
And apparently we've got a worse football. Which one of us has got a worse football take? And then he comes up with something like that. I mean, okay, moving on. As if
original, Reece. Original.
as if Rangers wasn't enough. Okay, right. So we've got 2 games left. Forest Everton. No, Forest Southampton.
Well, that's actually pretty big, really, because Forest they need a result. Southampton, obviously, they're down, aren't they?
Yeah. Yeah.
So they're still gonna want to show a bit of pride, but I don't know. Maybe Forest. I think Forest at home they're a lot better, aren't they? At home.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think they might scrape a little 2-1 win.
You're going 2-1, yeah. Okay, I went for 1-0 Forest. I think they'll just get something like a Brendan Johnson or probably get a winner for him, like a penalty or something like that. I could just see him being a tight game and Forest just edging that. And we'll leave the last one, Mr. Joe Sayers at Brighton. Had some great interaction with some Brighton fans on the Twitter this week. And if you aren't already, ITNOFP podcast, well, ITNOF podcast on the Twitter. I always get this wrong. You need to do this because I was listening back to an episode the other day, and the way you do the links for the like YouTube and podcast is good. So I'm like, nah, can't do it. So yeah, If you're not already, get over there and follow it over there on the old podcast Twitter, and then you can see when we release our episodes. But yeah, Joe come on. He's a Brighton fan, and there's some great interactions with him and the rest of the Brighton fans after the Manchester United loss on Thursday. But so Brighton Everton, what do we see there?
I don't think it's going to be easy for Brighton at all. As I said, I think Sean Dyche in general has made Everton a lot harder to beat. Obviously, a lot better than from when Frank Lampard was there, and they did play really well away at Leicester. Obviously, Brighton certainly no mugs coming off the back of 2 wins.
Yeah.
And they're still really hunting in Europe, and their tails are going to be up now. So, I know I just said like a Forest will go down and Everton will stay up, and now I'm going to say Forest are going to win and Everton are going to lose.
Exactly.
So, I don't know, but yeah, surely Brighton will win that. Surely it'll be tough, but I think they should win.
I'm going 3-0 Brighton.
3-0.
Yeah.
I think it'll be a walk in the park.
Yeah, I do. I just think Brighton, the way they've been playing, I didn't deny they played well against United, and they got some great players there. And watching some of the analysis after the games on Thursday and listening to the Lewis Dunk in particular, and it's just like pretty crazy how well they're doing under De Zerbi. And so yeah, I hope he stays there as well. I hope he doesn't go to like a Tottenham or something like that. I really do. It'd be good for them. Do you know what I mean? The only fear I have with Brighton, obviously there's now linking McAllister with an £80 million move to Liverpool, which I think 80 million though. 80 million for McAllister, is he worth 80 million? I don't know, but I was thinking about 40, but I wouldn't go 80. It's crazy. Could they do it all again? I mean, it's okay replacing 1 or 2 players, but replacing maybe Caicedo, McAllister, maybe a move for Matoma potentially. There's Evan Ferguson's being linked as well. Yeah, I just think.
Yeah, eventually, if you end up losing too many of those players, it does catch up with you.
100%.
Sort of quickly on, like, that's quite a good example, I think, with Atalanta in Serie A. They had like 3 consecutive third place finishes, and eventually you just can't keep up. And they are having a good season this year, but you can't. It's very easy. It's very difficult. To sort of keep replacing those players. Perhaps you can do it for a season or 2, but eventually, I think it does sort of catch up with you.
Yeah, of course. Right, I think that is all we've got time for. We have got the podcast on. It'll be out on Monday for you. We have got Peter Blexley, QPR fan, coming back onto the show. Unfortunately, you can't listen to the original episode because of the way our host works, which is very disappointing. So we can't get the original episode back, and you can't hear back from that. So it'll be good for you to come and listen to the new episode, which we will have with him on Monday. He's a QPR fan, if you didn't know, and some of the DM exchanges have been great already. So I think he's going to have a lot to say.
He's quite vocally already put across that he's quite annoyed about the situation, and so maybe some strong words coming from Peter, I think.
Yeah, and he's been on a bit of an Italian adventure, and it'll be great to catch up with him and share our experiences of Milan and going to the San Siro, etc. So that'll be good. Coincidentally, we've had a similar experience within the last month or 2. So yeah,
well, he was in Lecce, and then he was at the San Siro for against Lazio. So I mean, I don't know why he's been doing that. I'm quite intrigued. So yeah, hopefully we get some answers.
Yeah.
But talking about Serie A, actually, if you have got some time, there's some unbelievable fixtures this weekend. Massive in the Champions League race. The Scudetto is done. Napoli have already been crowned champions. But there's Lazio, Juventus, Inter, Atalanta, Milan, and Roma, only separated by 6 points, all fighting for that Champions League spot. And if you take a look at the fixtures this weekend, Milan are hosting Lazio, Roma are hosting Inter, and Atalanta are playing Juventus at home as well. So they're three huge games. They're all playing each other. So if you've got some time, have a little look at that. It should be pretty cracking weekend of Calcio.
But they're not bigger than Man City beating Leeds, Newcastle beating Arsenal, and new champions being crowned of England. So we've got champions being crowned in England. We've got a new king being crowned, but at least not forget the original king was born in 1966. God bless the king, Eric Cantona. Till then, see you later.